right, Devils, how we doing today? So here we are on Thursday. What is it? The 5th? The 5th of September. Yeah, voting's in, right? You guys are challenging me here, no doubt about it here. So first up is look at the S&P. Now this is a bit of a, this is a toughie. Well, so the first thing you have to consider is that tomorrow we have the payroll report. So probably not an ideal time to be putting on anything new. I think we probably agree with that, right? You can anticipate some volatility tomorrow. So given that, right, I think there can be some value here in working through this, and maybe some things that I can just, kind of walk you through, at least in terms of how I would approach this. Now, I'm not getting overly concerned here with the Elliott count from the low. We've been through it enough times here. I'm just going to work off of this. Here's our last consolidation range as we go up here, and we're in this giant megaphone pattern here, which is a bit unusual. And obviously, you'll see here I've got a set of median lines on this that we are just tagging here. Interestingly, it's not ideal, right? So it's not as though we're tagging the median line for the first time here. But I think that perhaps the median line here is a reference point for us. So now I know you can't see in there. This remains a bit of a mystery as to why we pivot here. About the closest thing that I can find here, and it's not to the tick, but if I take the length of this, project from this pivot here, I get right in that window, that 1618175. It's really about all I can find here other than the internal. All right, I'm looking for swing relationships other than this here. All right, so we come golden zone 1, 2, 3 times, but again, there's a lack of precision on that target there. So I just can't find anything that explains that pivot down here. Although just a great example of what you see in the volume profile there. So you could almost now take the upper end of this range. It occurs to me that if I just look at this range here, so here's about 50% of it here. This was, here I'm kind of randomly picking numbers. If we use this pivot here, we get to the 50. We've got this upper target here. So is this swing here just a failure? It's hard to know, right? So if you come here now, again, there's a lack of precision here. We get right in between. Does give us. It is likely these are the dominants, so this is what an algorithm is keying off of here, looking for that target here, which is 32. Let's call it 3220. So if we're going to go up here, this is a case where I don't know that I'd be willing to tell you that. Again, 10 Elliotticians likely going to give you 10 different counts in here, and none of them are going to have a great deal of conviction behind what's here. The next test will be a clear, obvious test will be what happens at this trend line, right? It's 3 times. Now, are we getting through? And there is support down here, but it's, if we get visible range here, here's another low volume node here that come here. We might pay attention to if I get in there and then draw it across. It's tied to these pivots here. So things to just kind of frame the market out here. So if we go into the count here, the ABC here is very clear, but as to how it relates to what's come before it, it's a coin toss here again. I would present to you that seems to be the 3 that explains this correction, except we'll put us finishing with an ABC down here, and it's tough to dig 5 out of that C. But I think now coming off of that, right, I'm hesitant to put any labels here because this could all change pretty quickly here. So when I see something like that here, so I'm still out on a daily, I will just start working through these and label what's clear to me. I can see the pardon me. It's a diagonal here that finishes here. So we do get 3's longer than 1, 5's longer than 3. So we do get this unusual, looks like that's a diagonal in there. The ABC clear as a bell, and it's technical, at least in terms of the retrace. Now, coming off of this, now this has been very difficult to get a count that you could have any conviction in. Coming off of the low, so here you can work it. You can get The 3 is a little squirrely, but you can get the 3, 4, 5 of an impulse off of that low. Then we end up with a very shallow correction. I mean, relatively speaking, in terms of norms. So we don't even quite make the 38 here in terms of that retracement depth. Now that's not a deal breaker. So if we're considering this as a 1, 2, 12% of wave 2s only make the 38. So that's still 12%. So coming off of that, now again, it gets very, in terms of the Elliott count here, very tricky and unusual. I do think you have to look at just the massive extension here in the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are spared the overlap here. Again, I'm out here on a 4 hour, so how else to explain that? The other variable here that it's such an extreme in the 1. Maybe you're looking at this thinking ABC here for some sort of an expanded B wave relative to a sort of AB, but now it doesn't quite fit in with what's come after. So I'm reluctant to put any hard labels on here other than what I can identify. So this is clear. This is clear. This is questionable, but I don't see another way to count it. But my point being, from here, this part of this little impulse here, I can understand this off of this low, but to put that into the 1 makes me a little suspect of it. So the potential for the ABC here, but then what are we doing with all this, right? So this is really difficult to get any, again, now I'm repeating myself, any conviction into what the hell this is. Best I can come up with here is that we've got an A wave here. We go into an A, B, C of the B, and then you got to pull 5 out of that to give us a C here. Probably do it, right? So the 1, 2 is in there. Probably got to do the 3, 4 here so that you can get. Right, it's not pretty. I mean, none of it's pretty. So we of course we all watched this repeatedly get tested, and then today it finally, yesterday it broke. Right, so we had test 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the first break where you got to give the advantage to the bulls, or so the break. Well, part of the issue is here is that all the lower pivots broke as well. So you had just this big consolidation zone where it was not technical. So you've got per this pivot, all of these are breaking the 65, but finally we get the break here. So you know who's in control. Now coming off of that, so I think we can take this off, although we have now broken the 786, that's of note. So I'm still out here on a 4 hour. Again, just trying to work through what's here. When this resolves, when we get some pivots and some sense of which direction we're coming out of here, because you could still make the case that within this zone, this is all corrective until we break this high. I mean, we could go to the 887, right? You got a lot of trade volume over here, so you can see that there's a pretty good block of volume all across from all of this action. So dipping into this, I wouldn't assume that means we're launching here. So this will be very, very much influenced by how the employment report comes out tomorrow. So I'd anticipate pretty extreme volatility. Jesus Christ, look at the last, when we do this, July, all summer. This is, this is, we all know what this is, right? Trade talks are on, trade talks are off. Trade talks are on, trade talks are off. Oh, China called? Yeah, have my broker buy 1,000 S&P contracts for me. Oh, what? Oh, yeah, they called. Oh, they didn't really call. Right. This is all, yeah, I'll let you guys, you know what that is. I'll keep my politics out. Okay, so off of that, so here's the last thing I can get where I can get an impulse coming off here. Now, it's a little bit tricky, so I'm going to go down to the hourly. It's a little tricky in here, but I think we can get this to work here. So here's the tell, this pivot, right? The fact that we tagged this and we're spared by a tick. That leads me to believe that what I have here is an expanded B wave to give me that C, so then I can get this, because coming off of this low, the impulse is very clear, so this can't be the 1 with the overlap, so thus you kind of back into it and you go, 1, 2, 3, 4. That could be my 1, 3, 3. You got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get that flat. I know, purists. It looks like a 3. I know. So then we come off of here, then we do get the clear impulse here, and it's technical. So I stick with this count until until it blows up dramatically here. Now, we don't get the 1618. Interestingly, look where we're getting the 1618, right up here. Now we've just caught that up here, right? So relative to the fifth, that's not atypical. This is a little unusual, but then again, given the volatility in the market, I do like the three here, or pardon me, the impulse in the third here. So I lean into that as my impulse. ABC on the 4, yeah, that's a little Elliott footwork there. But we get the pivot, and then I can again get another impulse here. So I'm inclined to stick with that until something blows it up to where it doesn't make sense to me anymore. So this is questionable up here. Now, you could make a case here that something has completed. So even if I take, well, let's see, let's go from the 2 through the 3, right? So we tag the golden zone, right? No, that should surprise 0 people, right? So right to the golden zone, that's the support from the 2 to the 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like something there is complete, right? And so this algo has already been, right, tagged and paid, right? So that's done. So, but we keep going. So where is that? Where are we headed? Well, now looking at that, noting that we just hit the 1618 length of the 1 projected from the 2, I'm not ready to call that a pivot, but I'm just kind of looking to frame the market. So going into tomorrow, assuming that you wanted to trade either ahead of it or shortly thereafter, I'd not advise. It's high risk to put anything on here ahead of that because you can anticipate the volatility will be extreme. So unless you're a pretty sophisticated option trader, I would stay out until after that news comes and see how the market interprets it. How does it take it? Where are we at the end of the day, right? So often there are reactive moves and the fake out and all the head games that'll go on. So it's a dangerous day to be putting anything on in the S&P until we see how the market interprets it. So coming in Monday, we'll know how it looks. Now, just looking here, you can see this. It certainly looks like there's a reasonable argument that something is finished here. So can I get any other? I kind of and then you guys have been using this quite a bit here. So if I just go from tick to tick here, and then I grab my 1 high here. Am I right on that? Let's get right on these ticks. Okay, so looks like. Well, this is kind of interesting. So from here, here's the pardon me. So I've got my Gann targets on here. So here's the 1.125 and the 125, right? Here's the 75, the 50, and the 25. So I'm working with Gann targets here, partly as a function of the fact that I noticed this. So if I take this pivot here, right? So here we don't quite make the 50, but if I put use my Gann targets here. So we've just tagged this second one. Also, if I go to a measured move, right, as I just showed you here, so we've got a bit of a confluence of these targets. So you can see them right here. And yeah, we got through it. Now, interestingly, is that to get up and tag that channel? Hard to say, right? So, but you can make this case here, so you can see it that I got a 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that perfect tag, and I'm up here, and I'm completing within that channel. So that's a reasonable case that something is tagged here. Now, so would you want to short that going into tomorrow just because something is completed here? I'd be ill at ease with that myself, especially taking that overnight. Again, wait and see the reaction tomorrow into how the market interprets it. My guess is, we're at that place where all news is good news, right? So the only thing that matters to the market right now is the trade talks. Right, so tomorrow won't impact the trade dialogue because those are apparently on for October. So it's risk on unless there's a big surprise tomorrow. That could shock the market. That might have people get nervous. But right now, you've got the assumption that the Fed is going to cave and they will lower rates, that the trade talks are on again in October. So the market is just looking for a reason to go up. Right, so the bias is always long, always. The market, if there's a reason to go up, it's going to find it, right? That's why the market goes up much more slowly and goes down, right? They say it goes up in stairs, it goes down by the escalator or the elevator. It's the bias. The market is dying to go higher. Always wants to go higher. Right, that's always the bias. You should always approach the S&P with that mindset. It wants to go higher. Right? So knowing that, I'm not going to trade based on this. My anticipation will be, however the number comes out, within an hour, they will have interpreted it bullishly. So I'd be, again, not trading ahead of it, but that's what I'd be looking for tomorrow. Now, I'd let a good hour pass after the report, see how the market is moving before you considered putting on any trades in here. And of course, you guys all know that we've got, very active day trading channel where we're working with some new tools and some things that's, any of you that own Ninja Trader are, do have access to. So that's something to keep in mind. But I don't know what else I can tell you here. So if this starts to come down, now let's say we get a surprise and we start something that's corrective. Well, I'd be paying attention there because, again, that could be just the day's reaction to something that's to a bearish report. But until these until this level breaks here, I think you got to be biased to the long side. So whatever this is, all right, so we think about where we are, right? So it's possible here. It's certainly possible this is all corrective. So on the larger degree, we've got something like this going in before we go down, right? There's certainly plenty of, again, not to get into a fundamental conversation here, but there are plenty of worrisome signs about where the market is going here. Right? Everything, we just simple things like, we just think of the national debt, right? We just think of the trade deficit. I mean, there's so many things that you could just think through in your head saying, how can this market keep going up here? But, right, some people will tell you it's a manipulated market. Others people will tell you that as long as rates stay low, the bias will continue to be to the upside. In terms of any new trades here, until this clarifies, and we know, all right, so my guess is it won't be long before we break this high. It won't be long. There'll be a lot of stops here. That will be fuel to keep it going. So my guess is this continues to go. So any sort of a corrective, until it breaks, anything corrective tomorrow has to be considered as a buying opportunity, in my opinion, at least at this point in time. So however the market responds tonight, tomorrow, overnight, God knows, the next tweet, if we get the opportunity down here, I think you got to look at it now. I sure as hell going to put a stop on it, and I'm not going to go on big size on a payroll report if I get the opportunity to buy down here. But my suggestion would be, whether you're using options, I'd be very careful on the day trading tomorrow because it's going to be extreme. So if you're looking for a swing trade here, if you see the reaction come, if we get down here, again, big if we get the opportunity to buy down here at this, let's call it 2,900 range, 2,900, your low here is 2,875. Anything in that range has got to be something that would attract your attention. Of course, now let me pull this off here so we can see a little better. I'll take this off. Right, if now emphasis right, if we get something like that, right, I sure would be paying attention for the possible, right, the opportunity that maybe we get a golden corner here, right? Lots going to have to happen. We're sitting here at what's our high today? 29.87. We'd be down here at 28.78. So you're going to need a pretty big reaction here to create that opportunity, and we may not get it at the 618, right? You might just get it right here. We'll just get a corner pocket. All right, so this all might be on a smaller degree. Target doesn't move. Right, so that's actually, look here. So we get this structure here. So you could maybe tighten that up here. So here's our wave one and our B high. Kind of gives you that potential pocket there. So I will be day trading it tomorrow, but I'd be watching here. Right, if you guys want to see how we will approach that in the day trading room, come on over. Right? Okay, guys, there you go. Again, I would not be putting anything new on until we get resolution here. Maybe next week this will clarify. All right, guys, back.